One of the most common questions that I get asked is what are the differences between the Subaru Outback and the Subaru Forester? In today's video, I'm going to answer that. I'm going to share with you guys the key similarities and differences between the Outback and the Forester. So if you are looking to figure out which one is the better buy, the best one for you, today's video is going to answer that in detail. We're going to be looking at the 2025 Outback and the 2025 Forester, but a lot of this information applies to many years ago. There are some key features or differences between the 2025 Forester and even just the 2024 Forester, and as those come up, I'll be pointing those out in today's video. If you are new to my channel and you enjoy Subaru related content, consider clicking that subscribe button down below. As always, if you guys enjoyed today's video and get value out of it, I'd really appreciate it if you take the time to click the like button down below and leave comments down below. I'll do my best to answer those for you. I'm going to start out first by sharing some similarities between these two models, and then we're going to roll into the key differences. Starting out, we're looking at ground clearance. This Outback has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and the Subaru Forester actually has the same 8.7 inches of ground clearance. All trim levels except for the Wilderness trim have the 8.7 inches of ground clearance on both the Forester and the Outback. But here is a Outback Wilderness. This one has 9.5 inches of ground clearance compared to the Forester Wilderness, which I don't currently have here on the lot, is 9.2 inches of ground clearance. If you're unfamiliar with what Subaru's Wilderness trim levels are all about, this takes an existing Subaru model and just makes it more off-road capable by adding a lift, some mild all-terrain tires, and changing up the powertrain in some cases. We'll talk about this in more detail as we talk about the differences between these two models in today's video. Both the Outback and the Forester have the ability to seat up to 5 people, and the legroom is going to be pretty comparable both up front and in the rear. Now, where it changes is with the headroom, and we're going to talk more on that here in just a moment whenever we talk about the differences. The Outback has had this large 11.6 inch touchscreen display for the last 5 model years. Now, whenever we move over to the 25 Forester, this is the first year that the Forester and the Outback now share the same touchscreen display. So that is new for this year. If you go back even just to the 24 model, this screen is much smaller and you no longer have that large touchscreen display. When test driving these two vehicles back to back, I often have people comment and say that they feel like the Outback has better ride quality. It's quieter and feels smoother on the road than the Subaru Forester, but that has changed this year. For the 25 Subaru Forester, they added additional insulation, revamped the suspension, and also upgraded the motor mounts for this vehicle. So not only is it quieter, but it's also a much smoother ride, and it really takes test driving to see for yourself the key differences between this and just the last generation Forester. Both Subarus are priced relatively the same in the low $30,000 range, with the Forester base trim starting out at about $1,000 more than the Outback base trim. Now, that's actually flip-flopped. If you look at the 2024 model year, it was the other way around. The Outback was a little bit more than the Forester, and it's typically always been that way. Now, part of the reason why is because we haven't seen a new generation update for the Outback since 2020, so it usually only goes up a few $100s each year unless there are major changes. But with the 25 Forester, we saw major changes this year. You can see a full in-depth video to the top right if you want to see details on everything they changed other than what I'm showing today. In short, just know that they're going to be relatively close in price, of course, unless you jump all the way up to the higher trim level Outbacks that have the turbo engine, like the Wilderness, the Limited XT, the Onyx XT, or the Touring XT. The Outback and the Forester both come standard with a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine. The Forester used to have a turbo option that was discontinued after the 2018 model year, but you can still get a turbo engine in the Subaru Outback. Both models have around 180 horsepower, 180 on the new Forester and 182 on the Outback, and then with the turbo option that comes standard in the Wilderness Outback only, it gets 260 horsepower. And it doesn't matter which model you go with, whether you go with the Outback or the Forester, or even which trim level you go with, they are all going to have Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Now let's talk about the key differences between the Outback and the Forester. And the first thing you're going to notice is size. So the dimensions of the outside of the vehicle, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how the seats are positioned inside, because those change things up quite a bit for these two vehicles. So we're gonna be looking at the length, the height, and the width, how wide these vehicles are. A lot of people actually look at this and they might feel like the Forester is wider because of these long horizontal grille lines, but that's not the case. So the Outback is about 2 inches wider, it's about 2 inches shorter, but it is almost 9 inches longer in the rear. And really you gain that in the cargo area. We'll open that up here in just a moment, but the cargo area on the Forester is shorter. Now, we talked a little bit earlier in the video about how the front and second row are very similar in terms of leg room and occupant space, but in the cargo area, that is where it differs. We're gonna use the Forester's cargo cover as a point of perspective here with the length or the depth of our cargo area. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna slide it over to the Subaru Outback next to show you guys the difference in depth. So this cargo cover fits in there a lot better than the Subaru Forester, just showing you how much more depth you have here. And then both of these have the ability to fold down these seats, the 60-40 split seats. This one has the quick release levers. Actually, all of the Subaru Outbacks now have those. And then on the Wilderness, Limited, and Touring, you have these switches, but on the lower trim levels, you do not. But this also shows you how much loading floor you have, whether you're going to be loading things up inside the cargo area or you want to go on an adventure and go car camping for the weekend. You can put a mattress or foam mat down in here to go camping. If you do plan to do that, by the way, the Outback is going to be the way to go, because you have so much more space here, so much more depth, and a little bit more width for space for you and somebody else to sleep in. The Subaru Forester probably has the best outward visibility with taller windows, so both up front and in the rear for your blind spot. It also has the panoramic sunroof that is standard on all but the base trim level, whereas with your Subaru Outback, you're going to have the smaller windows, still good visibility, but smaller windows, and your standard size moonroof only. So if you like that open airiness feeling, the Forester is the way to go. Many people don't notice this right out of the gate, but not only are the seats designed differently, but where they are positioned in the vehicle is different. So despite these having the same ground clearance, the seating position differs. The seating position on the Forester sits up higher. You'll see how it's mounted here, just like this, just a few inches higher than the Subaru Outback that we see right here, where the seat is positioned much lower in the body of the car. The Subaru Outback was actually built on the same platform as the Subaru Legacy, which sadly is being discontinued after this 25 model year. And because of that design platform and how this seat is positioned lower in the body of the car, the Outback drives more like a four-door sedan like the Legacy than it does an SUV. Now, you still have that ground clearance, so you're not gonna have any issues there clipping on things, but the seating position sits much lower. So if you like the capabilities of an SUV, but you don't like feeling like you're driving a big truck or you're sitting high off the ground, then the Outback is a good way to go. On the Forester, that seating position sits up much higher. So whenever you are sitting in the car, you're almost kind of looking down towards your gauge cluster and out ahead. You also have a much lower center console area with more storage area than you do in the Outback. With the Outback, you have that same display, smaller storage for your phone or other things you want to store here, and the center console comes up much higher up on the armrest area. Both the Outback and the Forester have the optional power liftgate that can be operated with your key fob button, a button on the dash, or a hands-free option. The hands-free option on the Outback just requires you to have your key in your pocket. You walk up, hover your hand right here in front of the Subaru logo, and your rear gate will open. Now on the Forester, they added the option for a kick activated feature. So there's no sensor right here. Instead, the sensor is down below. So as long as you have your key with you nearby in your pocket, you kick in and out, just straight in and out like that. You'll hear the beep, the power lift gate will open. The Forester also gives you a cool feature where you can close it the exact same way, just like that. You'll hear it beep 3 times, and then the power rear gate will close. Now, if you interrupt it or something's in the way, that will stop it. It won't close for safety reasons. If you intend to tow or put a trailer hitch on your Subaru, something notable to be aware of is that the kick activated sensor is removed whenever you put a trailer hitch now on the 25 Forester, whereas that hands-free option over here still stays the same. You can still use your key fob button with the Subaru Forester and the button up on the dash, or even the button down below here to open and close your gate, but it just removes that rear sensor when you get a trailer hitch installed. Towing on the Forester is standard at 1,500 pounds, whereas if you jump up to the Forester Wilderness, even though it has the same engine, it's tuned different, has that transmission cooler, it bumps it up to 3,000 pounds of towing. With your standard Outback with the 2.5 liter engine, you have up to 2,700 pounds towing. And then with the turbo option Outback, like the Wilderness and any of the XTs, you get up to 3,500 pounds of towing capabilities. Lastly, probably one of the coolest features that I think differs between these two models has to do with the roof rail system. So this is on the Subaru Forester. It has static roof rails, which then require crossbars to be installed if you want to put something on top. Whereas with the Outback, if you get on top here, you'll see that the crossbars are built in. So you release this lever, you slide it across. It has a little rubber bottom there, so that's safe for your paint. So you slide this one over here, lock it in place, slide this one over here, lock it in place, and within just a few seconds, you have your crossbars that are ready to mount your kayak, bike, or your cargo boxes. If you do opt for the Outback Wilderness, it is important to know that it has a similar style roof rail system as the Subaru Forester and all of our other Subaru SUVs for that matter. And they will require additional crossbars if you want to mount anything on top. But this is more rugged. It has higher weight capacity, so you can put a rooftop tent up top if you wish to do so. Now that we've gone over all the differences today between these two Subaru models, let me know down in the comment section below, which one would you be choosing? Or if you still have questions and you're still undecided, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to try to help you decide between the two. I hope you all have a great day. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to click the like button and I will see you in the next one.